What if the reason your teenager won't talk to you isn't about some, mysterious, uncontrollable teenage angst,
Right.
but it's actually about the emotional vocabulary that you, well, failed to teach them when they were toddlers.
I mean, it is a staggering thought when you really sit with it.
It really is.
Because we tend to view emotional communication in young adults as this innate personality trait. Like, they either have it or they don't.
Right, like they're just a moody kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the reality is that emotional openness is entirely a learned skill.
Mm.
It's built on this early architectural framework that we either provide for them or we don't.
Yeah. So welcome into the deep dive, everyone.
Welcome.
For those of you listening who, consider yourselves lifelong learners, people who love digging into really practical, thoroughly researched systems rather than just skimming surface level advice, this one is totally for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Today's mission revolves around this instructional design blueprint. It's for a workbook by a brand called Playprint Pals, and it's titled Teaching Kids Emotional Awareness.
Which, on the surface, sounds very niche.
Yeah, obviously it's a resource designed for parents and educators. But the reason we're analyzing it today is that it's essentially a masterclass in psychological systems design.
Mm-hmm.
It is this incredible blueprint for creating daily rituals that build a permanent family culture of emotional openness and, not just putting out fires.
Right. And before we get into the mechanics of those rituals, I think we have to look at a fascinating foundational rule the designers set for this blueprint.
Oh, the language rule.
Yes, they completely rejected any clinical, sterile, or the corporate language.
Yeah.
So there are no words like leverage or optimize or synergy.
Thank goodness.
Right. And in a move that feels almost rebellious for modern instructional design, they strictly banned the use of emojis.
I found that detail so brilliant.
It really is.
Because when you think about it, an emoji is just a lazy shorthand. It allows us to just bypass the actual friction of identifying and articulating a feeling. The designers recognize that a digital shorthand fundamentally undermines the entire goal.
Which is such a smart observation.
It really is. So instead, the blueprint relies on this warm, highly specific human phrasing and cozy asymmetrical visuals, hand-drawn elements, candid photography.
The medium is the message here.
Exactly. The design philosophy mirrors exactly how we should approach emotional rituals in our own homes.
Right. It can't be this rigid transactional process.
No, not at all. It has to be authentic and deeply human and highly personalized. Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah, which brings us to the first hurdle, really. Because you can't just mandate a family ritual of emotional openness if the participants don't actually possess the tools to, participate.
Right, you have to have the basics first.
Exactly. So the blueprint breaks emotional awareness down into two clear, distinct parts. Knowing your own internal feelings and reading the external feelings of others.
Okay.
And to achieve that, they outline 5 non-negotiable building blocks.
I have them right here. Vocabulary, body awareness, cause and effect regulation tools, and empathy.
Right. And those first 2 are really the foundation.
Yeah, I want to focus on that first block, actually vocabulary, because the way I see it, emotional vocabulary is exactly like a mechanic's diagnostic codes.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. If the only word a mechanic has is broken, they can't actually fix your car.
No, they'd just be guessing.
Exactly. They need to know if it's the alternator or the spark plugs or the transmission. The nervous system works the exact same way. If a child's only words are, good or bad, they can't diagnose their own internal state.
That is the perfect analogy. And to solve that diagnostic problem, the source material visualizes this using a layered feelings wheel.
Yeah, I've seen these.
Yeah, it moves intentionally from the simple to the complex. So in the center, you have the absolute basics, the primary colors of emotion, right?
Like happy, sad, mad.
Exactly. But as you move outward on the wheel, those primary colors gain critical nuance.
So mad isn't just mad anymore. You trace it outward and realize, oh, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed.
Right.
Or I'm not just happy, I'm actually feeling proud or maybe hopeful.
Yes. Or sad might actually be overwhelmed.
Right. But having the word isn't enough on its own, which is why the blueprint explicitly pairs vocabulary with body awareness.
This part is so crucial.
They feature this exercise using a simple, blank silhouette of a human body, and they ask the child to map physical sensations directly to those nuanced vocabulary words.
Yeah, and the mechanism behind this mapping is just fascinating.
Why is it so important?
Because, developmentally and biologically, The body always knows before the brain does.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. The somatic signal, the tight chest, the hot face, the clenched jaw, that happens fractions of a second before the cognitive realization of I am angry.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
Right. So by teaching kids to map the physical sensation to the specific vocabulary word, you are essentially installing an early warning detection system.
So, like, a tight chest equals nervous. A warm face equals embarrass.
Precisely. It allows the child to catch the emotion while it is still just a physical whisper,
Hmm.
long before it escalates into a full-blown behavioral explosion.
But if they can notice the clenched fists, they can actually deploy a regulation tool,
Exactly.
which makes sense of the 5 building blocks. If vocabulary and body awareness are the alphabet of this system, are regulation tools like the grammar that holds it together.
Oh, that's exactly it. The alphabet gives you the raw letters, but the grammar tells you how to structure them into something productive.
Right. Because without regulation tools, those diagnosed emotions just manifest as, well, chaotic behavior.
Yes, and that foundational alphabet is what sets the stage for everything else. I mean, you cannot sit down at dinner and ask a child to analyze the cause and effect of their day if they literally lack the words to describe the experience.
The progression here is really logical. So we have the vocabulary and the somatic mapping. But how do we actually deploy that in the heat of the moment? Before we can zoom out to the long-term daily rituals, I think we have to understand the emergency response tactics.
Definitely. You need a way to de-escalate.
Yeah. And the blueprint leans heavily on a well-known psychological concept here: name it to tame it.
Oh, the neuroscience behind name it to tame it is just incredible.
Break it down for us.
So the simple act of assigning a specific label to a negative emotion actively reduces the arousal in the amygdala, which is, the brain's alarm center.
Okay.
When you name the feeling, you literally force the prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational part of the brain, to engage.
So you're pulling blood flow away from the panic center.
Yes. And as that rational center powers up, the emotional alarm center powers down.
That is wild, and the blueprint offers some really stark before and after dialogue examples to illustrate this.
The contrast is pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, they show the incorrect approach, which, let's be honest, is the default reflex for most adults.
Oh, totally.
Like, a kid is upset, maybe crying over something that seems entirely trivial to us, and the adult says, "Stop crying, it's not a big deal."
Right. Which is an entirely dismissive response.
Yeah, we've all done it.
Of course. But it essentially communicates to the child that their internal reality is objectively wrong.
Oh, man.
Yeah, if they feel it is a big deal, and the trusted adult tells them it isn't, it creates this massive cognitive dissonance.
That makes total sense. Then they show the effective way, the name it to tame it approach, which is simply validating the child's reality.
Right.
So the adult says, "I can see you're really disappointed that we have to leave the park."
Notice what they didn't do there.
Right, you aren't fixing the problem. You aren't staying at the park. You are merely naming the emotional state.
Exactly.
But okay, this is a great distinction in theory, but incredibly hard to do in practice.
Oh, extremely hard.
Especially when the behavior accompanying that emotion is completely unacceptable.
Right. The real-world messy stuff.
Yeah. Let's say a child isn't just crying about leaving the park. Let's say they're screaming and throwing a toy truck at their sibling's head.
Yep. Happens all the time.
The instinct is to shut everything down immediately. How do you validate the feeling without implicitly validating, say, throwing a toy?
It is probably the most common trap we fall into as adults. We conflate the internal feeling with the external action.
We blend them together.
Exactly. And the source material handles this friction with an illustrated metaphor that I honestly think belongs on every parent and manager's desk.
What's the mantra?
The mantra is, all feelings are welcome guests, not all actions get to stay.
Wow. All feelings are welcome guests, not all actions get to stay.
It is the absolute cornerstone of creating psychological safety.
Yeah, that distinction is everything.
It is. You have to draw a hard, impenetrable line between emotions which are involuntary, biological responses that are always valid, and behaviors which are choices that are not always acceptable.
Okay, so in the truck throwing scenario, the anger is a welcome guest. But the throwing of the truck is the action that gets immediately evicted.
Exactly. So the execution of that would sound something like, I see you are incredibly frustrated that your brother took your turn.
Validating the feeling.
Right. Then you say, it is completely okay to be furious. It is not okay to throw toys. I am putting the truck away to keep us safe, but I want to hear about how mad you are.
Oh, that is so good. You are naming the emotion to tame the amygdala while simultaneously holding a super firm boundary on the behavior.
And the reason this distinction is so vital for the long-term rituals we're about to discuss is trust.
Trust.
Yes. If a child believes that certain feelings will get them in trouble, like if they internalize that anger equals punishment, they will simply hide the anger.
Which just leads to bigger explosions later.
Always. You have to prove in the heat of the moment that their messy internal world is safe with you, even if their behavior needs correcting.
Which naturally pivots us to the actual core of this deep dive, because playing whack-a-mole with tantrums using name it to tame it is frankly exhausting.
It is. It's totally reactive.
Right, it's an emergency response. The ultimate goal of this blueprint is proactive.
Yes, preventing the fire rather than just fighting it.
Exactly. It's about building permanent daily rituals so that the pot never boils over in the first place. This is where we get into the actual architecture of a family culture.
Right, and the transition from reactive parenting to proactive culture building requires structured consistency.
Yes, and the blueprint details several very specific, concrete rituals to establish this. They outline 5 main pillars for these rituals.
Okay, let's hear them.
First is establishing a physical feelings corner. Second is weekly family meetings. Third is the weekly high and low journal grid. Fourth is nightly check-in questions. And fifth is capitalizing on everyday teaching moments.
That's a solid framework.
Yeah, let's break these down because the execution is where the real magic happens. The feelings corner immediately caught my eye because, a lot of people might mistake this for a traditional timeout chair.
Oh, they're fundamentally different.
Right. The blueprint describes it completely differently.
Yeah, a traditional timeout is punitive isolation.
Mm.
It tells a child, you are dysregulated, go away until you are convenient to be around.
Ouch. Yeah.
But a feelings corner, as designed in this blueprint, is a heavily resourced regulation station.
What does that look like?
Well, it's an environment designed to lower sensory input. So maybe it has pillows, dim lighting, or the feelings wheel chart we discussed earlier.
Oh, so they have the tools right there.
Exactly. It is a tool the child can choose to use or that the parent can accompany the child to in order to co-regulate. It shifts the physical space from punishment to processing.
That is a massive shift. Then there are the weekly family meetings.
Yes.
And the blueprint frames these not as a time for parents to lecture, but as a democratic forum.
Right. Everyone gets a voice.
Yeah, it's a scheduled, predictable time where the agenda includes checking in on everyone's emotional bandwidth.
Consistency is key there.
Totally. But the ritual I really want to dissect is how they handle everyday teaching moments.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
They explicitly list things like sibling conflicts, losing a board game, disappointment over changed plans, and the classic bedtime stall tactics.
Those are brilliant examples because they happen in every household, literally every single day.
Oh, yeah, constantly.
And usually adults view these moments merely as annoyances that need to be managed or suppressed as quickly as possible.
Right, just get through it. But the blueprint treats them as daily reps in the emotional gym.
I love that phrase, daily reps.
Take the bedtime stall. A kid asking for a 4th glass of water or complaining about a scratchy blanket is usually just met with, go to sleep right now.
Yeah, we've all been there. Just go to bed.
Exactly. But the blueprint frames the stall as a symptom of either separation anxiety or a dysregulated nervous system that just hasn't powered down yet.
Which is such a more compassionate way to view it.
So instead of barking a command, you use the vocabulary tools. You might say, your body seems really restless tonight. Are you feeling worried about tomorrow or just having trouble slowing down?
It changes the entire dynamic. The child feels seen instead of managed.
Exactly.
And the same goes for losing a board game.
Oh, board games are intense.
They are. But a board game is a beautifully contained, low-stakes environment to practice frustration tolerance.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, so when the child loses and gets upset, instead of saying, it's just a game, don't be a sore loser, you utilize the moment.
You bring out the diagnostic vocabulary.
Precisely. You say, you seem really disappointed that you lost. It's hard to lose when you were trying so hard. You're providing a safe repetition for them to experience a negative emotion and survive it.
That is so incredibly practical. But here's where it gets really interesting. The ritual that struck me as the crown jewel of this entire blueprint is the weekly high and low journal grid.
Oh, yes. The high and low journal.
Yeah, it asks the child and the parent to systematically track one high point and one low point for all 7 days of the week.
It's a great exercise.
When I analyzed this, I immediately saw the parallels to adult systems. This is essentially a gratitude journal paired with, like, an agile workplace daily stand-up meeting.
Right, it's essentially a daily sync for your family's emotional bandwidth.
Exactly.
The mechanics of that grid are profound, and the designers attach a very specific philosophy to it: consistency over perfection.
Which I found super liberating.
Because the objective of the high and low grid is not to solve your child's problems every night before bed.
See, I initially thought the whole point would be to hear the low point and then coach them through fixing it.
That's the natural instinct, right?
Yeah. But reading the blueprint closer, the point is actually the opposite. Fixing it immediately shifts the interaction back into a transactional space.
Yep.
You become a manager trying to clear a ticket rather than a parent just witnessing an emotion.
Precisely. The power of the high and low ritual is the rhythm. It is the predictable, unshakable proof to the child that their inner life is inherently valuable to you. When a child knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that every single night at dinner, they will be asked about their internal world,
Yeah.
and that their answer will be received with curiosity rather than a lecture, that is how you architect psychological safety.
You are laying down the neurological tracks early.
Exactly. So years later, when a massive crisis hits in their teenage years, the train already knows exactly which route leads to a safe harbor.
Laying the tracks before the heavy freight train comes. That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it.
It's all about that proactive work.
However, implementing a daily ritual across a decade of childhood brings up a significant practical challenge.
Which is?
A ritual only works if the participant is actually engaged. You can't use the exact same script on a toddler that you use on a high schooler.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. A nightly check-in that feels comforting to a 7-year-old is going to feel deeply patronizing, or like an active interrogation to a 15-year-old.
It would backfire completely.
So how does the blueprint scale these rituals?
Well, scaling the execution while maintaining the core mission is the hallmark of good instructional design. The mechanics of the ritual absolutely must evolve to match the developmental stage of the brain.
And the blueprint dedicates a whole section to this customization, which I appreciated.
It's very necessary.
For the toddlers and early elementary kids, they introduce a calm down toolkit.
What's in that toolkit?
It relies heavily on tactile physical strategies because they just don't have the cognitive complexity yet. So it involves structured deep breathing, counting exercises, heavy work like pushing against a wall or, retreating to that feelings corner.
That makes perfect sense for that age group.
But the most interesting tool for the little ones is their reliance on storytelling and play.
Well, play is the native language of the young child.
Exactly. And they use this specific mini story starter prompt for the daily check-ins, which is...
Oh, the dragon one.
Yes, the dragon. It goes, once there was a dragon who felt blank because blank.
I love this part.
So a kid might say, once there was a dragon who felt overwhelmed because his cave was too loud. I noticed they use a dragon instead of just asking the kid directly. I'm deducing that this is highly intentional. Like, giving the kid a fictional character provides a layer of deniability so they don't feel like they are in the hot seat.
You've hit on a major psychological concept there called indirect processing.
Indirect processing.
Your direct eye contact and a direct question like, why are you acting so angry, can feel incredibly threatening to a young, already dysregulated nervous system.
I mean, it feels threatening to me as an adult.
Right. It triggers a defensive fight-or-flight response. But a dragon is entirely safe. Indirect processing allows the child to project their own overwhelming feelings onto a fictional avatar.
So the child isn't the one who is out of control. The dragon is.
Exactly. It provides essential psychological distance. It allows the child to explore the emotion, identify the cause and effect, and even brainstorm regulation tools for the dragon, all without feeling clinically exposed.
That is so smart.
It ensures that the daily ritual of discussing emotions remains playful and secure rather than, heavy and interrogative.
And then as we scale up to the teenagers, ages 13 to 18, the blueprint shifts gears.
Yes. The dragon has to retire.
Sadly. The dragon story evolves into that structured high and low journal or into more complex self-guided reflection prompts. The medium changes entirely, but the underlying message, all feelings are welcome guests here, remains the constant through line. You are just scaling the autonomy as they grow.
You scale the autonomy, you scale the complexity, but you never scale back the empathy.
Never.
The teenage brain is undergoing massive rewiring, second only to the toddler years. The rituals have to respect their need for independence while still providing that predictable daily sync.
We have unpacked a tremendous amount of incredibly actionable information today.
We really have.
Let's distill the main takeaways for everyone listening. We started with the realization that emotional awareness is a layered, mechanical skill.
Built from the ground up.
Right. We cannot expect a child, or an adult for that matter, to navigate their feelings if we haven't equipped them with the foundational diagnostic vocabulary and the somatic body awareness to catch those feelings early.
Their early warning system.
Exactly. And we saw how validation, the name it to tame it concept, actively calms the brain's alarm system. Provided we hold the line that feelings are welcome, but destructive actions get evicted.
Which is the golden rule.
It is, but the ultimate takeaway, the real mission of this Playprint Pals blueprint, is the absolute necessity of daily rituals.
Yes. The consistency.
Whether it's a feelings corner, utilizing a bedtime stall as an emotional gym rep, or religiously tracking the high and lows, it's that predictable daily rhythm that actually constructs a lasting culture of openness.
And this is where the implications reach far beyond parenting.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though this specific blueprint was designed for children and teens, the core mechanisms we've discussed are universal human truths. Welcoming the emotion while holding a boundary on the behavior. Prioritizing a consistent daily rhythm of connection over the need for transactional perfection. Those aren't just parenting tools.
No, not at all.
Those are masterclasses in navigating adult relationships, strengthening a marriage, managing a team in the workplace, and critically, mastering our own internal self-regulation.
So what does this all mean for you listening? It means you have the architectural tools to stop playing whack-a-mole with crises and start actually designing a culture of openness no matter who you are leading.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your week.
Oh, please do.
We spent a lot of time analyzing how naming a negative emotion, name it to tame it, actively reduces its intensity and calms the amygdala.
Right.
But consider the flip side of those daily highs and lows rituals. If habitually naming our negative emotions shrinks them, what happens when we habitually precisely name our positive emotions?
Oh, wow.
Right. Does naming the joy with granular vocabulary actually increase its intensity? Or does it simply make us far more deeply aware of the beauty that is already present in our everyday, messy human lives?
That is a phenomenal question to end on. It turns out building an emotional culture isn't about sterile flowcharts or corporate synergy. It's just the daily, deliberate practice of making space for the messy stuff. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
Keep questioning the systems around you, keep building those daily rituals, and we will catch you next time.